And today's question comes from Nick from Chicago. So thanks, Nick from Chicago, for asking us a question. You had asked, it was actually about a couple months ago, so I'm glad we finally got your question here on Mentorship Monday. You said, I would be interested in learning more about forming a team for real estate. I always hear people talking about the importance of forming a good team. However, no one goes into detail about what the team is, who's a part of the team, how many people are in the team, etc. So thank you, Nick from Chicago, for asking that great question. You're absolutely right. People do talk about teams and the importance of teams, but they don't really go into detail. So I'm going to go into detail here today. I actually put together a list of over 22 people, or 22 kind of key team members that you want to have as you guys, more on a buy and hold strategy, but probably could be adapted for various real estate investing niches. So I'm going to start with finding property. So let's go with that. Sorry for my horrible handwriting. I've never been a teacher, thank God. So finding a property. Wholesalers. Depending on how you're going to be finding properties, you want to team up with wholesalers, attorneys, bird dogs, realtors, even title companies at that stage. So they can help you if you find a property on the auction, or you find a property that has some issues around it. You want to see what the title is. So having a really good title company is important. I said wholesalers because they'll help you find deals. I said attorneys because actually we've been able to find property through strategic partners of ours that are attorneys. So you definitely want to let the key attorneys you work with know you're looking for property and the kind of property you're looking for. I put bird dogs. Those are just people that might be in the community that, again, looking for compensation if they find a good lead. And then realtors. Obviously, you want to find investor-friendly realtors. You don't want to just find, realtors that are more for homeownership type of realtors. You want investor type of realtors. The last team member for finding and evaluating property is local municipality representatives. And why I say that is it's really helpful to know if you're investing, if you're focused on a particular community, start to get to know the local representatives, the local municipality, the inspection office, the what have you, everyone that's in that core office, because they might be able to help you as you're getting through the process. So just your local municipality is always a nice team member to have. So that's really the find part, okay? Next stage. So we found properties. Now we're going to look to purchase. Right? We found the property, now we're looking to purchase properties. So that's the next kind of area here of the process. Obviously, you want to find a good attorney to help you in the purchasing stage. And that's pretty understandable, but in terms of putting documents together, contracts, that's a pretty important one. The second one, to obviously really important, is your funding source. And there's three main team members you want to have on your funding source. One would obviously be institutional. And when I say institutional money, I mean banks. We've had a lot of success with local bankers. We haven't had as much success over the years with your big banks. So I would really start to get to know your local bankers, the community banks, the credit unions, those types of banks, because they tend to be more flexible, they can move faster most of the time, and also they'll be able to be more kind of community related and oriented. They want to do business in their local community. Your big banks don't really care about most of that as much as your local banks. So that's one key team member funding source. Second one would be a private money lender. Okay, now it's really helpful to know that these folks are out there, but folks that can help you basically put the money on the down payment or put the money into renovating the property. But these are lenders for you, and this is private money to help you grow your business. And the third one is always nice to have a hard money lender or team member on your team. You're not going to need them every time, but there's a few hard money team members that we have that we know we can go to. We don't go to on every deal, but we have them in our kind of network, and we know we can go to them. So it's just really helpful to know someone. It's always hard to find someone when you need them. It's really helpful to have these folks kind of part of your network initially. So that's purchasing the property. Money and obviously contracts and attorneys will help you with that. Okay, now the fun part, or some people think it's the fun part. All the properties that we work on are typically always dilapidated, okay? So there's always a renovation stage of this process. So we don't do a lot of the hands-on renovation. You certainly don't want me fixing things. And my husband, I would probably say, is probably not the best person to fix things either. But we've really teamed up with some really, really good contractors. So a couple people you want to have on your team, possibly a general contractor. you would need a general contractor unless you have your own license. So GC, and then as you get to know the business and you get more comfortable, start to find your really good subs. You're always going to need a good electrician. You're always going to need a good plumber. You're going to need them on the renovation side. You're going to need them on the property management side. It's just good people to have. Electricians, plumbers, folks that are in like the pest control, whether it's, pest issues, what have you. It's always good to have on your team member. We've used the same pest guy literally for 10 years. We've used the same plumber for at least 10 years. So we've had some of these relationships a long time. A couple other good, now your GCs should be bringing a lot of these people to the table. However, if you have a relationship with a great electrician, there's no reason why you shouldn't be able to use that person for your rehabs or for your renovation period. And also add a couple more, a really good carpeting person and a really good used appliance company. Because if you're doing renovations, you're doing rentals, you're not going to go to just Home Depot. You can get good deals there, but you want to start to have a relationship with a company that maybe be able to sell you some used appliances, nice used appliances, but you'd be able to save some money potentially as you scale your business. So that's really important. Second team member part of this stage, renovating, is inspectors. Now, obviously you're not at the stage to bring an inspector in and get the C of O, which is the certificate of occupancy. Basically says in New Jersey, you could start renting this apartment legally, so to speak. So that's really important in New Jersey, at least our local community. But knowing inspectors and just knowing their names, knowing that those local inspectors is helpful. It doesn't mean that they're going to give you the inside tip or do anything that they shouldn't do, but it's just helpful to know them, and it's helpful to go to them and ask them, hey, this is listed as a 3-bedroom. Is it legally a 3-bedroom? they will help that. They'll help you with that and say, no, that's a duplex. It was never a 3-family, but yet it was sold to you as a 3-family. So these are key people you want to have on your team. So you can pick up the phone, call them, and they'll return your phone call. Okay, so that's renovation. So renovation is done. You've gotten the C of O or whatever documentation you need to say that tenant can move in legally. Now the next part, as we know, is we need that tenant, right? Now we're going to lease those units and lease those units with great tenants. We work with 2 people at this point, 2 key team members. Part of our team at this stage is property manager, which is part of our team, and a leasing agent. And our leasing agent is phenomenal. She does all of the she brings, answers all the phone calls, leases the property, markets the property, shows the property, and pretty much gets us a final application to our property manager and saying, this is a qualified tenant, what have you, and here's the rental application and all the information we need to evaluate, and pass our kind of tenant requirements and what have you. So those are 2 key people. Highly recommend at the leasing stage that you get into a relationship with someone that you can just work strategically with. And we pay our leasing agent a commission. So it's not money out of our pocket, right? But it's a win for her and it's a win for us, so we don't have to be doing all that, and we could be growing the business. Okay, so that's leasing the property. Now, in a buy and hold, especially if you use private money or if you use your own cash, the next thing, now not everyone does this, but the next thing that we often will do, because we like to leverage our money and leverage our business, not just leverage our business, but leverage money and be able to use that money for other things, is to really refinance. I think that's not even how you spell refinance. You get what I'm saying. Refinance. And really manage the property. Again, this is the most important one out of all of these. Most people do this, and then they don't do this last one well, and because they don't have the right people on their team. So you got to but our process tends to, we refinance, and then we tend to create a process of managing the portfolio or managing the rental. So a few things. We work with a bookkeeper. We worked with a bookkeeper part-time, and we had 30 rentals, and we have that same bookkeeper now that we have well over 100 units. So I would highly recommend, even if it's part-time, get someone to look at your numbers. Get someone to look and audit your books, even if it's literally 4 units. I can't highly recommend that enough. I used to do that for our business, and I was so bad at it, my husband fired me. Not literally, but was about to fire me because I was horrible at it. So you want to find someone that actually knows what they're doing with bookkeeping. I also highly recommend at this stage, you're managing the property, have a good handyman on the spot, someone you can send out there to fix, issues ongoing. You might have to sub them out to an electrician or a plumber, but it's really nice to have someone that's a handyman that can just go out there and be able to assess the situation for you. If you're going to do that, great, but we have someone that does that for us because we'd like to have our own team going out there. Again, keep subcontractors come into play now. You obviously want to have your own key contacts. It's not helpful to rely on just the GC and the GC's team. You need to have these people too, because the GC at this point is not in the process. They're on to something else. They're on to another renovation. So you need to have people on your team, an electrician, a plumber, a carpeting guy or gal, a used appliance company, pest control, etc., that you can call on. Because if you don't have any of these people, you're not just going to keep calling your GC, because they're going to charge you more for that, I would imagine. And the last one, another team member just to think through, is if you decide not to manage a property yourself, you need to have a good, obviously, third-party management company. We've managed properties for 10 years ourselves, and we're just moving into, with some of our new purchases, partnering up strategically with a third-party company. And that was new for us, but we've interviewed them and got references, and that's a new team member for us, and will be part of our kind of process. 2 quick things I want to tell you. You got all these great team members, wonderful. You got to stay in touch with them. And you don't just call them when you need them. You call them to stay in touch. You do that through technology, but we don't just call people when we need them. We're either adding value, we're sending a newsletter, we're trying to keep in touch with people. Number one thing, and people don't get that in cultivating relationships. You have to cultivate the relationship, right? You got to actually do something. Number 2 is just what I said. You really got to add value and help first, and really just keep in communication with people. So I hope this list was helpful, from finding to refinancing and managing a property. Really a little more of a buy and hold strategy, but I think I counted 22 team members. So it sounds like a lot, but hopefully that'll give you some insight, and hopefully that helped you, Nick. I'd like to just mention this is Mentorship Monday, so if you have any real estate investing questions, please email us at helpme@DeRosaGroup.com, and we'd love to answer them. And thanks for watching. Have a great week, and take care.